everyone. Welcome back to another Mustang Monday. This evening we will be doing a discussion about Cal Poly's study abroad. So if any of you are interested in studying abroad potentially at Cal Poly, whether you are a prospective student, an admitted student, or a current student, this is going to be a great live for you because you'll get to speak with two students and a representative from the Cal Poly study abroad office. So I'm going to accept them now. Just give them 1 second to join. Hi, John.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing quite well.
Good. So I kind of just introduced what we're going to be talking about this evening, but I'll introduce myself. So my name is Olivia, pronouns she, her, hers, and I am a fourth year communication studies student. I'm from the Bay Area, but from England originally, and I am a Polyreps University ambassador and tour guide. And then I'm also an admissions assistant. So I do these lives every week covering various topics, and I'm looking forward to talking about study abroad this evening. So do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So good evening, everyone. My name is John Strobel. I'm a fourth year aerospace engineering major, minoring in French, pronouns he, him, his. And I'm one of the study abroad peer advisors at the Cal Poly International Center. So we'll be talking a little bit about study abroad tonight and how you can go abroad as a Cal Poly student.
Awesome, love it. So first of all, why should people study abroad? What is the appeal of going to a different country during your time at Cal Poly?
Yeah, so there's a few main reasons why students should really go abroad if they are interested. Studying abroad is really a transformative experience. By going abroad, you can broaden your horizons. You get to experience new things and potentially get out of your comfort zone a little bit, and it can really make you grow as a person. In addition, studying abroad is something that employers love to see on your resume. It shows that you are, experienced with, being on your own, a bit more independent, that you're culturally aware, and that, hopefully you're going to be a better fit at their company. And finally, study abroad is really just a fantastic and fun experience. I look back fondly on my time abroad, and I should probably mention I studied abroad in Paris, France, back in fall 2019, and I have to say it was probably the highlight of my time in college.
Yeah. And so, did you take mostly minor classes during that time because you're a French minor, or what kind of classes did you take?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I took both GEs and major classes. So as an aerospace engineering major, I had to be careful that I stayed on track and that I met my requirements to stay on my flow chart. But luckily, I found a study abroad program that offered exactly the classes I needed for my major. And so I took two aerospace engineering classes. And then I took two GEs as well, a photography class and a French class. And the French class actually was the first class that I took for my minor, but it kind of got me down the path of getting that minor, and I'm happy to say I've now completed all those requirements, so I have my French minor.
That's awesome. Yeah, especially as an engineering major, I feel like there's kind of this preconception that engineers don't have time to study abroad. Would you have any advice for people that are in those super heavy majors about how to kind of navigate that?
Yeah, we definitely hear that a lot. A lot of engineering students and even students from other majors think that, they just aren't able to study abroad because of, the classes they need or just how busy their curriculum is. But luckily, with all of the programs that we offer here at Cal Poly, there's almost certainly a program that will work for you. And so, the only thing that you have to do is really start planning ahead and try to find a program that works. But we do have programs that work for just about every major at Cal Poly. So as long as you start planning early, you can very likely go abroad.
Yeah, I would definitely say planning early is a big thing. So I was planning on studying abroad for all of my junior year. Unfortunately, COVID impacted that. But I know that I kind of let myself get behind on my planning, and the people that stayed on top of it and figured out all of their classes and everything were a lot more kind of manage, they were able to manage everything a little bit easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the fact that I was able to go abroad was honestly partly just luck, because the quarter after I got back was when COVID hit.
Right.
So we know a lot of people had their study abroad plans interrupted because of COVID, but luckily nowadays we are basically fully back up and running. I think we've sent about 500 students abroad this academic year.
Wow.
And basically all of our programs are up and running at this point.
That's awesome. Yeah, so nice to get that back going again. So someone asked, was it more expensive to study abroad? Do you want to kind of talk about costs, whether you have to pay additional fees aside from Cal Poly, and what that kind of looks like?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And honestly, it varies a lot based on the program that you're going on. Some programs are on the more affordable end. Some of our programs that the CSU system runs or Cal Poly runs, those are often more affordable. And then we also have some programs that can be a bit more expensive, like programs run by third parties that we call our partner programs. And so there really is a spectrum, and what you pay is going to be correlated with what you get from the program. So, for example, I did do one of our partner programs, and it was a bit more expensive than a quarter at Cal Poly. But for that cost, I got my housing arranged for me, so I didn't have to stress about that. Were included tours and excursions, and it was really kind of a cohesive package. But we have options available for, pretty much any price point. And there are plenty of financial aid and scholarship opportunities to make study abroad more affordable.
Yeah, I would say in general, try not to let the price deter you, just because I think that they do want to encourage anyone that wants to go to be able to go. And like you said, it does depend on where you're going. So if you're going to, you went to Paris, which is a pretty expensive city, so you're going to be paying that additional food and just daily cost of living. But there are some more reasonable places if you want to factor that in. Another thing is subleasing. So the housing situation, I think, is something to consider. Trying to find a subleaser for wherever you're living in SLO, just because then you won't have to worry about paying for rent at home back in SLO and also abroad. So I would recommend going on Facebook pages or asking in any organizations you have if anyone is interested in subleasing.
Yeah, that's a really great point. And like you said, the destination, the length that you're abroad, and really just like your personal wants and needs from study abroad, those can impact the price. But like I said, with financial aid and scholarships, you can get this cost of study abroad down to something that's comparable to a quarter at Cal Poly.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of programs, do you want to talk about, how many are offered, how common it is to go abroad, what are the most popular ones or countries to visit?
Yeah, so we have over 400 and now just about 500 programs in 75 countries around the world. We have, on a typical academic year, we have, I believe, well over 1,000 students who go abroad. And I believe about 1/4 of Cal Poly students go abroad during their time at Cal Poly. So it really is common. It's a great way to, get off campus for a bit. And our students who go abroad absolutely love their experiences.
Yeah, they call it learn by going, right?
So, exactly. That's kind of our catchphrase.
Learn by doing, but you're going somewhere else. That's always fun. I feel like based on my knowledge, I think a lot of European countries are pretty popular. So like Spain, Italy, Prague, France. I feel like those are some main popular ones that people visit. And then some, I think, may just do specific programs. So, for example, in architecture, it's a 5-year degree, and your 4th year, you're encouraged to study abroad or have an internship. And so they really want to make sure that you're getting that global view of architecture. And so a lot of architecture students travel together.
Yeah, exactly. Europe is definitely one of our more popular destinations, but We see a good number of students going to Latin America, Southeast Asia, and some other really unique places around the world. And like you mentioned, architecture students are required to spend a term off campus. And so the majority of those students choose to spend that time abroad. So that's a really great way for architecture students to get a more global perspective of architecture.
Yeah, definitely. Do you want to talk specifically about what the international/study abroad office does? What kind of advising can you get in your office specifically, or what kind of things you do?
Yeah, so the study abroad office within the International Center, we are basically here to facilitate your study abroad experience. And so your first step, if you're a prospective study abroad student, would be to attend one of our workshops that myself and the other peer advisors put on throughout the week. But the peer advisors also offer drop-in peer advising. And so when you have more individual questions that maybe you're wondering about your classes or trying to decide between destinations, you can come to drop-in peer advising, and one of the peer advisors can, spend some time with you trying to figure out what works for you, how to get the most out of your study abroad experience and try to get you down the right path.
Yeah, I know. I went into the study abroad office and I was really stuck between two countries. And so they definitely kind of asked me these questions about what I was looking for in my experience. And we kind of compared the two different places. So that definitely helped guide me. When is a good time to start planning? How on top of things should people be in terms of before they want to actually study abroad?
So we recommend that students start planning about 9 to 12 months before they plan on going abroad. And so, for first year students, a great time to really start looking into it would be as soon as you get to Cal Poly. If you're starting to look into programs fall quarter of your freshman year, then you'll be on the right, on the right track to potentially go on a summer or fall study abroad program after your first year. But regardless, even if you're planning on going on a program later in your career at Cal Poly, it's a really good idea to just start planning early, figure out what classes you need to save for study abroad and what classes, you might not be able to take while you're abroad. And that will be the best way to get set up for success.
Yeah, definitely. I think that figuring out those GE classes or the ones that are most commonly offered is a really big factor. So you don't take them and then have no classes that you can actually take abroad. But yeah, like you said, academic advising, the Mustang Success Center, study abroad office, they're all there to help you with that. And I believe you'll probably be doing presentations during slow days, maybe WOW, that kind of thing, I'm assuming, for incoming freshmen.
Yes, I believe so. Certainly during WOW and possibly during slow days, I know our team does do a presentation for students with kind of an overview of the study abroad process. But once you get to Cal Poly, I highly recommend going to one of our study abroad workshops because that's the best way to get in-depth information on studying abroad.
Yeah. One resource that I found really helpful was the Cal Poly Study Abroad kind of advanced search directory. So you can go in there and you can click, what term you want to study abroad, what countries you're interested in, what's your major, do you want to do it associated with your major or outside of it. There's tons of different things that you can filter through, and then they'll give you a list of all of the programs that are offered within those parameters. So I really appreciated that, and I found that to be a really useful tool. So I would definitely go on to the study abroad website and then look on that advanced search. I don't know, do you remember what it's called exactly?
Yes, it is called the Advanced Search feature, and it's on our website, abroad.calpoly.edu. And so that's a website that you can start looking through, before you're even at Cal Poly. That's where you can see all of the programs we offer. You can get some information on academics and finances and some other frequently asked questions. And so that's a really great way to kind of start your study abroad planning.
Definitely. Someone asked, so GE classes are best suited for study abroad. Is that accurate?
Generally, we do recommend that students save their GEs for study abroad. And that's because so many programs offer classes that can be used for GE requirements. And so if you're able to save those classes, it'll give you a lot more flexibility in terms of programs.
Right.
Now, not all majors are able to save their GEs, or, for whatever reason, perhaps you were blocked into, most of your GEs your freshman year. And that's okay. While you're abroad, you can potentially look at look at major and minor classes, and maybe take a couple classes for fun as well.
Right. Yeah. Let's see. We have another question. What is the length of the study abroad program? Is it just for a quarter, or can you do a full year, summer or winter break trip? What kind of are the lengths and specific programs that you can do, especially on the quarter system? How does that work?
Yes. So I actually mentioned most of our terms where we offer programs. So we do offer programs that take place during quarters, semester, as well as year-long programs. There's also spring break, summer, and winter break study abroad options. So we have programs that take place during just about any length or any term that you're looking at. And in terms of programs that work with the quarter system, it is true that because the Cal Poly is on the quarter system and most study abroad programs are on the semester system, there can be some slight complications that come from that. And so what we find is that most students, when they're looking at semester programs, they usually try to go abroad during fall semester. And the reason for that is you're only going to miss fall quarter at Cal Poly. You'll miss a couple weeks of your summer as well, but you're not missing multiple terms. If you're looking at semester programs, you'll end up missing both winter and spring quarters, most likely. For some students, that's doable. And for other students, they would simply end up falling behind in their major classes. So we see a lot of interest in fall semester programs as well as our summer and break options.
Right. I would say definitely the fall and summer are the big popular ones because it just makes it a little bit easier to navigate. And then with the Cal Poly specific programs, they'll be on the quarter system. So that will kind of work perfectly with schedules.
Exactly.
John, what was your favorite part of your study abroad experience? And do you have any general advice you would give to people that are thinking about doing it?
What a great question. I would say that my favorite part of study abroad was all the travel that I was able to do on the weekends. So pretty much every weekend I got out of Paris, traveled around France and the rest of Europe. And it was kind of through that travel that I made my closest friends in my study abroad program. And I also got to see some amazing spots in Europe. Probably the highlight of my trip was a trip to Switzerland. The Swiss Alps are absolutely beautiful, and I really thought that was the peak of my study abroad travel. Apart from that, the cultural aspects are really cool as well. For the first time, I was living long term in a foreign country, and it really forced me to practice my language skills, to get out of my comfort zone a bit. And start relying on things like the public transit, and get used to their customs as well. So I really appreciated that, and I thought that it honestly made me a better world citizen. What was the other part of your question?
Yeah, just any general advice you have to people or you wanted to talk about.
Yes. So like I've mentioned, definitely start planning early. The earlier the better. And at least 9 to 12 months in advance is great. Apart from that, I would recommend just browsing all the programs that we offer. It can be overwhelming at first trying to dig through, 500 programs. But like you mentioned earlier, with the advanced search feature, you can start filtering by location, by area of study, and by term. And that's a really great way to kind of get yourself to a manageable list of programs, and you can find the best one from you that way.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, Cal Poly in Slough is amazing, but it's definitely very much like a small bubble college town. So like you said, it's great to have that kind of cultural awareness and get to experience such a different place.
Exactly. And one other bit of advice, I guess I would say, is that, while you're abroad, really try to make the most of it. You want to be okay being a bit uncomfortable and trying to get those new experiences, because that's what studying abroad is all about. It's about being part of a new culture, and experiencing how they live, and their worldviews, because they can be significantly different from our own.
Yeah, definitely. So someone asked, for traveling around Europe, is there someone that helps you navigate things, or do you pretty much figure it out on your own once you're there?
So it depends a bit on the program and how fully featured the services are. Like I mentioned earlier, I went on a partner program, which tends to be a little bit more all-inclusive, and so we had some local guides, if you will, who worked in our little study abroad school, and so they were able to give us some tips and tricks and help us figure out some of our travel. But ultimately, it really is going to be up to you to plan most of your travel while you're abroad, especially if you're doing one of our more kind of do-it-yourself type programs like Cal Poly exchanges. And so, at the end of the day, it'll be up to you to decide, how much travel you want to do and where you want to go.
Yeah, definitely. That's great advice. I think one thing I'll say is that, Europe is a pretty easy place to navigate to a certain extent, because there's a lot of good public transportation, and it's a lot smaller than the US, so it's easier to navigate from country to country. So I think just kind of staying organized once you're there and planning, beyond just the program and figuring out what you want to do when you get there.
Exactly. And, something to note is that if you're unable or just don't want to travel around, there's almost always, new things to explore in your host city, vary back out and whatnot. So there's, certainly lots of opportunities to just stay in your host city, and explore that.
Okay, we have an unrelated question that I can answer. Will Cal Poly be test optional for fall 2023? So Cal Poly is actually going to be test blind for fall 2023. So they're going to kind of continue with what they've been doing so far. They're not going to look at your SAT or ACT scores. So it's completely up to you whether you want to do them based on other schools you're applying to, but Cal Poly will not be looking at them. Do you take GE courses abroad, or are the programs major specific? We kind of already talked about this question a little bit, so if you want to review this and scroll back when this video is over, you can definitely do that. But like we said, you can definitely do GE courses. That's going to be probably the easiest and going to give you the most flexibility, but some programs are major specific. Okay, well, that looks like all of the questions that we've had. Is there anything last minute you want to mention that we haven't talked about?
Well, I guess I just want to conclude with saying that, study abroad was, like I said, one of honestly the most, fun and transformative parts of my time here at Cal Poly. I hope you all get to study abroad during your time here. And, there's lots of help out there for you to make study abroad a possibility. The Financial Aid Office can help you review what financial aid can be used for study abroad. The Mustang Success Center can help you start planning your first year classes. And of course, the International Center is here to help you pick a program and get set up for success. So I hope you all are able to study abroad and that you find the right program for you.
Great. Thank you so much, Don. I really appreciate you joining us this evening and for all of your help and advice.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Yeah, this video will be available on our admissions YouTube channel as well as on the admissions Instagram page. So if you want to refer back to anything we talked about, or if you want to watch any of our previous videos, definitely check it out. But thank you so much again, and have a wonderful evening, everyone. Bye.
Hey there, my name's Rafael. I'm a fourth-year journalism transfer student with a minor in Spanish, and my pronouns are he, him, his. Thank you for watching the video. Please share any questions or comments you have down below in the comment section. Click here to subscribe, and to watch more videos, click here. If you want to sign up for a campus visit, we're offering in-person and virtual options, so check out our website. Link in the description. Thank you for watching.